Hello YouTube, it's Mike again. Here to share with you another video that may be of interest. So sometime back, out of the parts car, and the parts car in its own self is probably a video, we pulled the transmission. I have a parts car, RX-7 GSL SE, around back, which is a whole segment in its own self, but we pulled the transmission out. And the reason I did that is went ahead, there's a really good transmission rebuild guy nearby, Christian, and can't recommend him enough. Basically, we sent the transmission up there to him well over a year ago now, and there was no rush because Blue's transmission is fine at the moment, so this is kind of one of those things to be proactive. And we took the SE transmission out of the parts car, sent it up to him for a rebuild. And recently I was able to get the transmission back. And I just wanted to give a quick initial video on the overview. I plan to do a follow-up video of this, doing like a dry run bench test of the transmission, if I can figure that out. But real quick, here's a couple of the things that have come back, and may be of interest to you. So one significant thing with the transmission during the rebuild on RX-7 GSL SE, and probably I'm guessing all first gen transmissions, the reverse gear is not synchro mesh. And upon examination, from what I understand, there was some wear and tear on the reverse gear in the transmission. So what you're looking at here in front is, and I don't know how it all goes together, the guts to that non-synchro reverse gear transmission. And if I recall correctly, it essentially goes together, and then a fork reaches into this groove there and moves this gear in and out when you go in and out of gear. And all this is worn, and Christian elected to replace it. Now, don't get me wrong, you could probably go a long ways with the worn gear. Probably the gear in Blue right now is extremely worn. But it functions, it still works. But since we're getting a rebuild, we decided to, Christian took the initiative to make it even better. So here we have an RX-7 GSL SE transmission. This is what's come out of the parts car, went away for rebuild. This is a rebuilt transmission. Yeah, just a couple things overview. You can quickly see here in the front, and the video is probably not the best, but you can see here where the pilot bearing is. So if you move, the slave cylinder here, when you push in the clutch, moves this lever, and this lever pushes that bearing forward, and that's what pushes the clutch plate back and forth. Just in case anybody's never seen that. And this bearing, it's a wear item, so when you do a clutch, that should be replaced. Although, relative to failure, it's probably unlikely, but they will make noise. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but given the general idea. So when this goes in the car, we will replace that. This is not replaced currently. A couple other things. I believe this is special to the SE, but I could be wrong. Just little things when we pulled it out. By the way, when we pulled this out, there was two transmissions. One is for like a 1983 RX-7, and there was some minor differences, and this, I believe, is one of them. This vent hole, I don't know if that was for cooling purposes. So that's kind of an interesting, nice feature they put on there, and I believe there's also a bracket, that hooked up to that, vented the air out. So just some little things. All these gaskets, these seal points have been replaced. Christian did a nice job with that. There's some, these are, and I don't know what is what. I have to look at the schematics. But this is some different, this is like for your reverse switch, show your, in reverse, different things. I'll have to test those before we put it back together. Another thing is, and this is just a small indicator of some things you sacrifice for modern conveniences. So, and this is fine, it's a good transmission, but it has this dog leg as opposed to, I believe earlier RX-7s, the shifter is more like here. But now they had to move it back on the SE. And it works good, it's fine, but you got to ask yourself, why did they move it? Well, more than likely, it was for the stereo. If you go over to blue here real quick, and we open blue up, you can see we went with this really elaborate graphic equalizer. I mean, nothing screams 80s more than this setup. So if the shifter was farther forward, it would interfere with you like ejecting a cassette tape and things like that. So as we, I just mention it because as we go on and technology improves, especially on newer cars with Bluetooth and surround and all these things, just think next time you're in your car and you're hitting that fancy touch screen or your Bluetooth device, think to yourself, what is going on behind the scenes that has accommodated, has sacrifices been made mechanically or otherwise to give us modern conveniences? And by the way, I'm a techie person. I love the modern conveniences like anybody. But it is an interesting thing to discuss is what have we sacrificed in doing so? Anyhow, this is kind of a feature. You can see that shifter rod, there. And then back behind, this would be where your drive shaft would hook in. And you can see here Christian replaced this seal. Did a nice job there. So going back to the reverse gear, Christian was able to modify this SE transmission with synchro mesh reverse. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the job he did there. So the plan is to do a dry bench test on this at some point. That'll be a follow-up video at a later time. So what we have here is a RX-7 GSL SE transmission, and I hope this was a beneficial video for you. I'm not an expert. I'm learning as I go, and but I'm hoping this is beneficial to see something like this outside of the vehicle and get a nice clear shot of what's going on underneath. And at a later date, we'll do a follow-up video with hopefully a dry run of the transmission. And hopefully someday we'll actually put it in blue and get to see how she works. When I do that job, that'll probably be the time I do the clutch. And that's it. So, love to hear your comments down in the comment section. And if you do have an opportunity, please like and subscribe if you like the content. There you go. Thank you, YouTube.